Ciao, jewelry making friends. My name is Joey Balistreri. Welcome to my work table. It is a very exciting day of the month. I have received my Potomac Beads Treasure Box Edition for the month of April, and I am so excited. I love getting my boxes. I mean, anybody who makes jewelry knows you get a head rush getting beads in the mail, but I really love these boxes because there's such a fabulous sampling of findings, check glass, just a little bit of everything, and most often things that I would not have ordered on my own if I was on the website. So it forces me to step outside my normal comfort zone and try new things. And, sometimes I discover new beads and shapes that way. So if you're not familiar with the Treasure Edition, it comes in this little magnetic, my camera is a little bit close, but it's a little magnetic box. And these are fabulous. I make labels for them and use them in my storage. So I save the boxes that it comes in. And this month's theme is called Spun Sugar Serenade. And I'm just going to read this quickly because it's really beautiful and poetic. And it really does describe the beads that were curated in this box. It says, this whimsical collection captures the allure of cotton candy with soft pastel hues reminiscent of the sugary confection, enhanced by a luscious peridot green base that mirrors the season's renewal. These beads radiate a captivating charm. And so it goes on from there, but it's kind of like the, colors of a carnival and a pastel spring, and I love it. So I do have a little issue with my box, and it is that on the back side of my insert, the list of box items is the list from last month's box, Earth and Serenity. I started to read it and I thought, I don't have heart beads, I don't have coffee beans. And then I thought, that's strange for them to give us coffee bean beads 2 months in a row. And then as I read the wood beads, the wax linen cord, the lever back ear wires, I realized that this list is from last month's box. And if you saw my video last month, you know that I did not get an insert and I had to wing it last month with my unboxing. So apparently for the poor people at Potomac Beads, whatever mishap has happened has been a domino effect into this month as well. But you can still have a look at the lusciousness in this box and you'll get an idea. And I'll do my best. I have a bunch of the little bags here to the side and I will do my best to show you. These are so cool. These are swirl nugget beads and there were 3 of them. They are really beautiful. We got these really large leaves, just beautiful with the little top drill holes so you could put a jump ring right in there. There were these gorgeous little silver drops and these are really beautiful. These are 99.9% pure silver plating and there were 5 of them in the box. So these are just lovely. These can become earrings. They can become connectors. You can wire wrap things around them. There is so many possibilities with a lovely little plain teardrop heart like that. And then this was called a pink crystal mix and it's mostly clear, but there are a few little pink beads interspersed. Let me just scoop up a few. So you can see there's a little bit of pink in the mix, but they are going to be absolutely perfect for any kind of spacer or to accomplish length, in a piece. And I have several ideas going on in my head with this month's box. And so I will pause after we go through the beads and just kind of get my thoughts organized. I always start thinking as I'm unboxing. These are the next thing up, and these are let me try to organize the little bags just a tiny bit. These are round duo beads in a white lila luster. They are 5 millimeter. That is a beautiful little bead with so many design possibilities. And then we got these table cut opaque buttons, and I love buttons. I am always completely thrilled to get buttons in any order, and I collect them. I've been collecting buttons since I was a little girl, so these are absolutely gorgeous, and I love the pink color. That is among my very favorite things in the world. And let's see, I did the nugget beads. These are check flat rondelles in a light yellow. This is also a really cool bead shape. Look at that. I would not have classified that as a rondelle, but that is beautiful. I love the shape. And we got some little crystal bicones, and look at these cool twisted peanut beads. I have one that's green, and let's see if I have 3 different colors. I guess it was a mix because I do have 3 different colors, but what a cool shape. And the hole on these goes right across the middle like that. Isn't that cool? And then there was a lucite flower mix with a whole bunch of colors from clear to purple to pink, and even some neutrals, black, gold. Like, you know, it's really a versatile mix. And then one of my favorite, absolute favorite things in this month's box is this Athena cast butterfly charm. It is absolutely gorgeous. There's the back. I wish you could feel it. Like, it has this quality feel to it. There's a weightiness to it. And I can almost guarantee this is going to make its way into my first project. I absolutely love that. And they always try to give us some seed beads in our box. So this month we got this Tea Rose 80 Duracoat seed bead, and it is perfect for the Pantone color of the year. It just looks like peach fuzz to me. So that is a very, very trendy color. And we got a strand of mixed color of crystals. We got, this is probably my other favorite thing in this box. Let me see if I can find the little bag that it came in and tell you what they call it. I might not have even had a bag for this one. It looks like I don't. So again, since I don't have the insert, I don't know what they titled this, but it's mixed colors and pastel, and it really does look like the colors of candy. It's beautiful. And then we also got something else that is probably my 3rd favorite. These are check glass long bicone beads in a peridot, and they have like that little bit of flash on them, and they're just like a stretched out bicone, but they're very smooth and soft. They don't have that sharpness that crystal bicones have, and I absolutely love those. I'm pretty sure these will make their way into my project as well. And then we often get a little tool for our work table in our Potomac treasure box, and we got this beautiful little lightweight caliper. I just love this. I have an antique brass one that I've had for years, but I love this if you're going to a bead show or any kind of a wholesale place. It is so nice to have a little caliper in your purse in case you're looking for specific sizes you can measure right on the spot. And then this is really cool. This is new for me. The nylon coated stainless steel beading wire that Potomac Beads carries, and it's a 7-strand. And I just love, you know, I always love getting beading wire. It is so useful. As jewelry makers, we can never have enough. So let's see, that's my quick overview of this beautiful box. I am really excited to start my designs with it. I'm going to cut my strands open and clean up my mat and come up with a little design. When I was unboxing, I already went into my own stash and pulled in a couple of things that will make their way into my projects with this box, and I will try to offer some alternatives. This is a porcelain bracelet bar that I have had for years. I do not remember where I got it, but I absolutely love this, and I've been in a bracelet making mode these past few weeks, and I just love the colors of the beads with this month's box. And honestly, I was looking at it with even having the little butterfly charm in this, so I think this will at least be one of my projects in this box, and possibly another bracelet bar that I recently shared with you on one of my videos that was handmade by an artist who is local to me in Florida, and I ordered a few things from her Etsy shop, and this is just beautiful in the pinks with the colors in this box. These lavender, oh, I don't know, did I even tell you the lavender 2-hole beads? I don't know if I mentioned those, but I love those as well. And so these are some of the things that are in my mind, and I'll show you how I start designing. When I'm unboxing, I took a little piece of this 7-strand cord, and I just did a little test to see how things would lay on the cord, to see if 2 wires string through the holes in the beads that are in the box, or if I can only fit one. And that kind of helps me when I start to design and work out the mechanics of whatever I'm going to make. So that's my little test piece that I usually start with my beads that are in a curated collection like this. I usually start that way, and it really helps me not to waste time stringing things that will eventually not fit or not work. So that is my little tiny beginning, a little bit of where my thoughts are going with what I'm going to make. So I'm going to pause here. It'll just be a second for you, and I will be back with a project. I cut all of the strands that I thought I was going to use and started to create a pattern. And so one of my favorite strands in this was the check glass carved oval pastel rainbow luster mix. And I just took those and created a pattern alternating all of those candy colors. And I had thought, well, before I start filming, I'll go ahead and make all the simple loop components because it's boring to watch. It's very repetitive. And I had this whole side finished. And as always happens with me when I am stringing or making components, I sit and look at the beads and I start designing in my head and planning. And I actually almost completely designed another project with more beads from this beautiful treasure box. So let me just give you a close look. I am using my little bracelet bar, my little porcelain bracelet bar that I've had for a really long time, and I love the Athena cast line, and these butterflies are just gorgeous with it. So my plan is to dangle him from my bracelet, and I also made my own little hook here, but I'm not 100% certain how I'm going to finish this bracelet, because instead of continuing to make components, as you see that I was working on, I have stopped because I have this beautiful Brazilian waxed cord, and it's a Beadsmith product, but I love this cord. And if you don't have this, in last month's treasure box, we were given 3 different colors of waxed linen cord, and it would work as well if you like this idea. And so I've made quite a few components on this side, but I honestly think that I am going to do a mixed media bracelet and switch from the simple loop components, leave them on this side, and I think I am going to start stringing on this waxed cord. So I was just sitting here playing, and this cord does go through the beads that I have in this pattern. So, you know, it goes nicely through those. It goes nicely through these little candy beads. It goes nicely through everything that I was using. I had just taken out some silver spacers from my stash, and even in this little component, I went in my stash and I have these little tiny 2mm purple check glass beads that were left over from something, and I think they actually came from the Potomac Beads website as well. And they just added that little something purple to my thing. And honestly, surprisingly, this little bead actually threads onto this linen cord as well. I sat here and tested everything. Isn't that astonishing that that tiny little bead, you know, you just never know about the whole sizes. So everything that I'm using will thread onto the cord that I have, and I have really kind of bonded with the idea of doing a mixed media and asymmetrical, so switching this side to a different media. And just to share with you, I love the palette in this month's box, so I went into my stash and I did add in some silver I have these little flower spacers left over from something. I had a little check glass sleeve that just matches the pinks in this really, really well. So I took out a head pin and I was planning to do a dangle, which can still happen because, you know, you always have room for a dangle on a project. And so I am going to cut this apart and string on the waxed cord because I quite liked the pattern that I had laid out alternating. There were literally in my strand, yours may be different, but there were 4 of the pink ones. And that's really my favorite color, and I like to pull in pink. And then I just alternated the purple, the blue, the green, the cream. I mean, every color in this is beautiful, and every color, no matter which one you pick up, has this little luster to it, and there's a wash, so you see the grooves in the beads. So I don't know if the camera's showing you that, but under my light, they look beautiful in person, as well as these elongated bicones. I just loved it. So I am going to disconnect or cut apart these here. I don't really need to do this one. I may save that one for another project because I have some more blue. And let's see, this side is fine. Really, it's just the pink that I need to. And this one, I actually didn't turn the loop. So I can take this off and just, I started with simple loops here and I can just save that for another component. But that's what I'm going to do, is thread these on in 2 strands, and let me show you my plan. I am going to take enough to, I'm still going to do 2 strands, but I'm going to double the cord for each side. So it will, you know, make this cord look a little, have a little more presence since I'm using this cream color. So, and I am going to be tying knots. So in my experience, knots take up a lot of your cord, and you don't always know, well, I don't anyway, when I'm going to start a pattern like this, how many knots I'm going to need and how, you know, how much knotting. And sometimes I even do a knot just by itself as a spacer, or leave some of the cord just showing, you know, if I love the color or whatever. And so I like to have extra to work with just in case I need extra knots or extra space in the cord. And you know, the small scraps that are left over make beautiful little earrings. I actually did that with last month's Potomac treasure box with my scraps, just made these beautiful little beachy earrings. So I think I'm going to give myself like 28 inches for this side. And what I mean by 28 inches, I mean 28 inches for each strand. And that does seem like an awful lot, but like I said, knots take up space, and I am thinking I'm even going to be knotting down where I do my clasp. So I'm going to get 2 of those pieces off this spool, and you know, I like to be generous with my, those few extra inches can make the difference in your project. But if you have them left over, it's really not that expensive. It's really not a big deal to put it back in a little plastic bag and save it for bracelets or earrings or smaller projects. So that's what I'm going to do. I have my 2 strands here. And the way I am going to start, I won't put any charms or anything on until the very end. But the way I'm going to start is maybe, let me see what a lark's head knot looks like. So feeding both ends through the little hole in my connector and then looping it back through. And so it's a bit long, so I'm going to try to show you. Let me see if I can show you. For those of you who don't know what a lark's head knot is, it's been around forever, so it's not something new. But you just kind of do it like that, and I prefer that side, and I also want a knot, so I'm going to turn this around. I just like the way the other side of the lark's head knot looks, so I'm going to turn this around and do it again. So let me come from the back this time with my 2 ends and just loop it through that little loop and then pull it down to the bracelet bar. So that is really pretty. And I think I'm probably going to tie a knot there, but let me do my second one as well and see how much space I have on the connector and how I like the way it's looking. So do the same thing, come up from the back. I did not actually do a sketch for this one or really work out the details, and you know, sometimes I just work like that where I'm really just playing with the supplies and see what speaks to me, and that's what is happening here today. So I quite like that. That makes me happy. It's beautiful. I like the two sides being a little different. I really love the pattern. And so what I think I'm also going to do on the waxed cord stringing side is the same thing that I did here, where the pink beads only are embellished and flanked with some spacers and some little tiny beads, and the other beads will be just encased in knots. And so what that does is, since I have a pink bead in this row and a pink bead in this row, it keeps my two strands the same length, which makes it easy for the connection. So that's going to be my plan. Let me just get started here. I'm going to keep this same pattern that I have laid out because it was a nice alternation of the colors. And so the first thing I'm going to do on this top strand is tie a knot. And for those of you that are new to waxed cording and knots, it is wonderful to work with. The knots really lock into place, and it's just, you know, it's just beautiful. They really lock into place, and you can tighten it down with your fingernail or a knotting tweezer. I happen to love my knotting tweezer, and I am going to do that. So I really, really like that. So let me go ahead and knot this side as well. You can undo a knot in waxed cording, but it's difficult because the wax it just grabs all the pieces, and you know, it's pretty much in place when you put a knot in there. So I really, really like the way that is looking. So let me keep myself lined up with my pattern. I'm going to take this first little cord, and there's wax on this, and so you can pinch and turn, and you sort of make a little needle. And then I'm going to thread on this blue bead, which was the next in my lineup, and just bring it down to the bracelet bar. And I'm going to, two strands will definitely not fit in that hole, so I'm going to let it float right there, grab my second strand, and do a knot right behind that blue bead. And I am going to use my knotting tweezer. If you do not have a knotting tweezer, you can also use a very fine tipped plier like your Xuron crimping pliers, or you know, and you can, with wax cord, you can totally do this without knotting tweezers because the knots go in very easily. But I just really like the precision of my knotting tweezers, and if I can help it, I like to not use my fingernails as tools. So that's what I have, and I'm going to continue in that way with this little pattern. So I have done my little simple loops on that green elongated bead. So I'm not going to cut that apart because I have other projects with this box, and I may be able to use it for that. So let me get my single cord and get one of those beads and bring that down. Bring that down to my work, and then once again grab the two cords and just put my knot in there. And so what I do is, once I have the basic loop, is I reach inside the loop and get a hold of both of the cords right where it's coming out of the bead, And then I do like to lay it on my mat because then gravity sort of is on my side, and then just pull the knot right down to the tweezer, remove the tweezer, and you can use the tweezers to tighten the knot on this. And you know that it's just beautiful. And so the bracelet takes on some interest and a little bit of a boho chic look because of the mixed media. And I just really love that. So I totally shifted gears as I was setting up to start filming and show you how I made all the components. But you know, that's the beauty of design. And then the next thing in my lineup was my little pink segment. So that's going to start with one of these really tiny little purple check glass beads from my stash. And you can totally use seed beads for, you know, like an 8/0 seed bead would be perfect. And even the 8/0 seed beads that came in this month's box. But, you know, I am notorious for going into my stash and adding in things. I just really love to do that. And the knotting tweezers work really well for that type of a thing too, if you have to get a hold. And you know, works really great. They have such a precision tip. So the pattern was one of those little check glass beads, a silver spacer, and just keep making your little needle, as it were. And if the wax kind of comes off and you're not getting a good needle anymore, you can just give it a trim, like at an angle like that, and keep threading. I love these kind of projects. They are so relaxing. And in fact, what got me thinking about doing half of my bracelet this way is that my next project with this box is going to also be a knotting project. And I always like to have the possibility to coordinate things if I want to wear them together. So that's what that little segment looks like, and it matches the one that was done on the wire with the simple loops. And I'm just going to do the same exact thing, just gather up my cord and put a knot and just get a hold of those two cords right where the one cord is coming out of the bead, and then just pull that really nice and tight right down to the tweezer. And so here's where you can decide how you like it. If you want it super tight, then you push the knot right down. But if you want the beads to float a little bit on the cord and you want to have a little bit of space, then give yourself a little bit of space. Just, you know, have a look and see how you like the components. I want to fit as many beads on here as I can. And I'm already loving this design. But the beautiful thing about making our own jewelry is, you know, like I did some of these components and then changed my mind. I'm the designer, so I can easily change my mind again, you know, and nothing's really wasted a few inches of wire because I still have all my beads. And so I just thought I would share that with you. I debated about just, you know, starting completely over for the video, but I thought maybe some of you would find it useful to kind of see my design process, especially when I'm not working from a sketch where I've worked everything out. So what I had planned to do was either make my own little chain or use a little scrap of chain from my stash for my little handmade hook to hook into, and I may still do that when I get to the end. And so that was what this little charm was for, was to hang off the very end of the chain, and that would make this bracelet adjustable. So that is my plan, and I'm going to continue to do my knotting and stringing all the way to the end of this side, and then I'll be back to check the measurement and show you what it's looking like, and we'll put that clasp on together. I have done all my stringing and all my knotting, and I am so happy with the way it looks. And I checked for my length, and it, I think, is going to be just about perfect, a little bit loose but comfortable. I'm so far really happy with this mixed media. It's turned out to be really boho chic. I just really love it. So I found this little tiny scrap of stainless steel paper clip chain in my stash, and I am not able to open the links. They are soldered, which makes it perfect for finishing off my bracelet. So I can feed all 4 strands. Oh, before I do that, let me just show you how it ended here. I just alternated my same patterns that I did in the simple loop components and made them the same length and knotted off right at the end. And so I'm going to gather this up again and get it through this chain. Now, if you're doing this design and you don't have scrap chain, you can make chain with jump rings. You can make your own jump rings even and then make chain from it. So that is an option. And I will link the video. I've done a lot of bracelet videos, and a couple of them I have shown how I make my own little hook clasps and hammer them and texture them. And I'm not going to do it again because I've done quite a few of those this month, but I'll link one of those videos below in case you did not see it and you would like to make your own clasp. But if not, you can very easily use a little magnetic clasp here or a toggle clasp. You know, like make this design your own. If you like the way it looks, you can definitely change it to suit your needs. So I just strung all 4 of my ends of my wax cord here, and I just have to figure out how to get a really pretty knot. So I did clean up a little bit, and I'll show you what happens with the knot. I'm obviously going to have 4 little cut ends. So I've put out some things here that are in my bracelet, elements that are in my bracelet, and I may cut them away. I may do a bunch of little dangles. I'm pretty sure my butterfly is going to finish off on this side where the knots are, because I quite like being able to see the double jump ring here and the way it starts into the beaded components. So we'll see. And then I had already kind of planned this little bauble out, which is going to get attached right to the end of this chain. So let me get this knot in here, and I think I'm going to start with just an overhand knot and see how big it is and see what I need to do. And I'm probably still going to put a little glue, like a little GS Hypo cement, because you know this is the end of my bracelet. It's not necessary here because the waxed cord really does grab onto itself and the knots really stay in place. But at the end where I'm going to create a clasp, I'm probably going to do that just for extra security. So let me just get, this is going to be a fairly large knot because now I've got 4 cords, and get a hold of both of those ends right where they are coming out. In fact, I think I am going to grab the ends. And now I can just pull, try to get a nice little bundle right there. And before I tighten it any further, I just want to look and see if I'm happy with that knot there. And I really like it. It is beautiful. So if you can see, I have gotten it into place, and I'm going to pull it really tight now. And then, as I said, little GS Hypo cement, because I definitely don't want it to come undone. I'll do my gluing at the very end though. I want to get everything in place, and then I'll glue it and set it aside. So I love the way that finished. And here I definitely do not need all of this length, so I'm going to take my scissors and just trim that, and I'm going to put this back in a little plastic bag in my stash. I won't waste this because that does really make great earrings. Set that aside. And so I think what I might do is use my little things that I have here to make little dangles. And let me go ahead and attach my butterfly now that I can see where I'm going. And I think he's going to go on this side just because the hole in my bracelet bar is a little bit offset. Let's see if he's going to hang a little closer to the knots this way. Yeah, there's a little bit of thickness to my bracelet bar. think I got it this time. Get my second pair of pliers. Close that really well. Oh, I love it. I love it. That is perfection. Let's see. Oh, I just love it. It's going to move just a little bit. Absolutely, absolutely gorgeous. I love it. Okay, let me wire wrap this little component here, this dangle little charm for the end. I have a mountain of tools over here. I actually have round nose pliers. Just going to do a small loop, and since my chain is a soldered chain, I have to remember not to close my loop before I've attached it to the end of my chain. And just close it, and now I can put my wraps in. Trim, and as always, make sure where we have cut that nothing is scratching or protruding out. Beautiful. I love that on the end. That is so pretty. Now on these four, I will start out doing the four. Let me tighten my knot. Tighten it really well before I add my dangles. And I definitely will put some GS Hypo Cement in this knot. I do that with leather just for extra security, just to make sure. Okay, and then I'm going to, let me get some scissors so that I don't have to struggle with getting these little beads on the end. Just cut my four cords at a really nice sharp angle. It really helps. Just do all four of them. And if you're any wax linen cord that you're using, after you thread quite a bit, you get to where, you know, the wax is not quite as activated, it doesn't stick together. So you can, that's another reason why I give myself extra, so that I have space to make a fresh cut on the end if I need to. So here I'm just going to decide how much I want it to dangle, and I don't want them to be really long, so I'm going to come pretty close up here. And trim. And let me see if I can get It is a stormy afternoon. The wind is gusting. I can hear all my wind chimes on my patio. It is really windy and about to rain. Okay, that's my final little dangle. Put my final knot, and then I'm going to take either the tip of your pliers or your knotting tweezer, whatever you have that's nice and sharp, and just make little tassel, just fray the ends. It's so cute. Let me get my knotting tweezer and just come in and separate all those little fibers. Very boho. This one needs to be a bit shorter. And so when I'm making like a bracelet like this, I will always save the ends of my cording to do this, and then if I feel like it's too busy or too much going on, or I don't like the way things are landing, then I can always remove them and add a little GS Hypo cement to make sure that my final cut stays put. But once you've cut it away, you won't have this option, so I always like to do it and then see how it looks. Can always remove it later if I wear it and it's getting in my way, or it's feeling too busy. Usually not. Usually I just love it, and it adds a little something as the bracelet goes around your wrist. But I am just loving, loving, loving the way this is turning out. I love the clasp. I do think that when I pause to take pictures for the end of the video, I think I may have to remove a couple of my simple loop links because it's a little bit long for me. Maybe not. It's a little bit long for me. I especially on a bracelet that has a little focal like that, I do sort of want it to stay at the top of my wrist. I absolutely love it. It turned out great. So I am going to clean up my mat here, and let me just show you quickly what I have planned for the next project with this beautiful treasure box. Let me clear these away. Actually, they may even make their way in. But as I was sitting here knotting and stringing on this piece, I was looking at all the beads in the box, and when I went to search for chain and things for this bracelet, I went in my stash and found some purples and some pinks and some crystals that are in the exact same colors as what came in the box. And I'm going to do a second project, this time a necklace, and I'm going to use this second butterfly that we got in the box, this beautiful pink crystal mix, and one of these check glass buttons. And I pulled out some other things. I had these little beautiful acrylic beads. And I just wanted to say that if you love this idea and you love this design, but you don't have a bracelet bar or anything similar, you can always use a large focal bead. So we did have beads in this box that were like cube beads, but you can always just use a really large focal bead that has a large hole and do a large simple loop or a large wrapped loop and still accomplish this same look if you don't have one of these bars, because I've had this in my stash for years and I love it, and I had never used it. And when I opened the box and saw what was in it, I remembered this and thought how perfect that would be. But you can still do this design if you don't have a bracelet bar. So I will get some pictures up at the end, and I am going to sort of clean up my mat and think about starting my next project with this box. Put my little, I love these beads. I mean, I just think this shape is so beautiful and just a little bit different. And this color is absolutely perfect for spring. So that little bit of green may make its way into my next project. So I thank you so much for watching. And if you have not subscribed to the Potomac Treasure Box or the kit edition, I can put my link in the description box of this video and check that out, because it is a fabulous box that is filled with high quality findings, check glass and crystals, and specialty beads. Every month we usually get some kind of a little tool or a little something for our work tables. It comes in a fabulous reusable magnetic box, and it's just one of my favorite things every month. And I just also wanted to say that if you do not want to subscribe, you can still shop on the Potomac Beads website. And one of the things that I constantly link in my videos that I love from their website is the Permalac Coating. And so I'm actually going to do that. This is what it looks like, and I'm actually going to do that on the pieces here that are just fashion jewelry or base metal. Like these little silver spacers that I used will get a little coating of this Permalac. It's an anti-tarnish, like a protective coating, and it really works. And it's, I don't know if you can see how thin it is, but it dries very quickly. It's clear. So even if I've gotten it before, gotten a little bit on my beads or my cord, you do not see it, but it really adds longevity to a piece. So it's like really just adds quality to my work, and it's just something that I love. So I will link this in the description box below, and like I said, check out the monthly subscription boxes. But if you're not into another monthly subscription box, as much as I love this one, I absolutely love the website. It's a great resource for jewelry people. There are crystals, every kind of seed bead imaginable, the beautiful Athena cast, all kinds of metal findings. There is a whole section for clasps and a whole section for connectors. I mean, it is an absolutely fabulous resource for us. So I will link a couple of things in the description box. And I thank you so much for choosing my video today and watching today. And if you have not sent me pictures of your little furry faced helpers at your jewelry table, I would love to have them. It's so exciting when I open the email and see more of those little faces. So I'll put my email in the description box below as well. Thank you so much for watching. Ciao, jewelry makers.